Hi guys, I'm Paul from Lovelogs, and today I'm going to show you my process for same-day pizza dough to make pizzas like this. Let's go. So let's talk first about why we would make a same-day pizza dough. When you first get a pizza oven, it can be a pretty stressful experience. Getting your oven up to temperature, learning to stretch your pizza, getting it on and off your peel, turning it quickly enough, it can all be a pretty frantic experience. So while you're learning, a same-day dough simplifies your dough making process to take one of those stresses away. 2, a pretty simple one, you just haven't got time the day before. I usually make a 24-hour dough, so I start that exactly a day before I want to eat pizza. But what if I'm busy the day before? So a same-day dough allows us to shorten our schedule and still make amazing pizza. And 3rd, and this is really important to remember when you get out onto YouTube and Instagram and you see all the amazing, complicated pizza recipes out there, is a same-day dough just might be good enough for what you want to achieve. Right, let's get into making this dough. So it's midsummer in the UK at the moment, it's nice and warm. I'm reading 24.3 degrees C internal temperature, that's about 75 degrees Fahrenheit. So we're going to adjust our recipe and our ingredients to suit that temperature. I'm really not a big fan of same-day pizza recipes that tell you to use a whole sachet of instant yeast. Same-day pizza dough doesn't need that much yeast, you can taste it, and it really risks your dough overproving. So I'm going to get my phone out, we're going to use PizzApp as always to give our quantities for the recipe. So there we go, that's 6 dough balls of 250 grams each, 63% hydration, 3% salt, 8 hours of room temperature proving at 24.5 degrees C. My thermometer was reading 24.3, but my assumption is it's probably going to get a little bit warmer in here as the day goes on. I've already weighed out my flour, which is 903 grams, my salt, which at 3% is 27 grams, and my yeast, which is 0.75 grams. And that's the big difference here. A sachet of yeast is 7 grams and I'm using 0.75. The only thing I haven't weighed yet is my water. Because it's warm, I want to use cold water straight from the tap, so I don't want this sitting at room temperature. So that's my water weighed at 569 grams. Weighing the water is really important for the accuracy of the recipe. As I said, I'm making dough at 63% hydration, but if you're a beginner, get in the app and change that to 58 to 60%. The dough is going to be much drier and easier to handle. When you're happy with that hydration and you're comfortable making and baking the pizzas, then start to up your hydration at 1 or 2% at a time. More water in your pizza recipe is going to give you more oven spring. Now what that means is when you launch the pizza onto the hot stone, the stone is going to turn the water in the dough into steam and the steam is going to rise. The oven spring, the steam in the dough, is what gives you that lovely, light, airy crust. So we've got all of our ingredients, flour, water, salt and yeast. Let's get into making this dough. So my instant dried yeast is going straight into the flour and we'll just mix to incorporate. Next, at about 10% of the time, I'm going to start slowly adding my water to my flour and yeast mix. And all I'm doing is moving it around with one hand to get that water mixed through the flour. So that's about half my water in the flour, and now I'm going to add the salt to the rest of the water. This is a good quality flaky sea salt which dissolves really easily into my water. And we'll just keep adding this at about 10% at a time. So just while I bring this together, just to reassure you about some of the stuff you might read about pizza dough. So first of all, kneading isn't everything, and we're going to see that in this recipe. I'll knead for about a minute or 2 and that's it. We need to develop gluten strength, but there are other ways to do that. I really don't like the process of kneading pizza dough, so I minimise that in my approach. Second, people talk a lot about how salt will kill yeast. Now that's just not true. Yes, salt plays a key role in how your yeast works, but it's not going to kill it. So adding salt early in a recipe like this is no big deal, especially when we're short of time. And finally, you're probably going to read a lot about how you have to prove pizza dough for 2 days, 3 days, 5 days, or a week. And yes, of course, longer proved doughs are better. There's absolutely no denying that. You get better extensibility, better flavour, better texture, the dough's more digestible. But like I'm going to show you, with a good quality pizza flour and the right approach, you can make really amazing same-day dough. So we'll just clear the overspill and then we're going to bring this dough together. And all I'm doing at the moment is just working the water through the flour, trying to get the flour hydrated and get rid of the lumps. And I've just got a nice quality silicone scraper just to get all this dough off my fingers. In the calculator, I'm making 1.5 kilos of dough for 6 250 gram dough balls, so I want to minimize my wastage. Scrape my bowl down, scrape my scraper down. And at this stage, before we do anything else, I'm going to give the dough a 20-minute rest. And this is the start of my 8 hours total proving time. And it's a good chance just for a quick clean up. So my dough's had a 20-minute rest. This is a really important stage and it does a couple of things. First of all, it lets the water fully hydrate the flour, so the flour is absorbing as much of the water as possible. Second of all, it starts the process of our gluten development. You can see we're already getting some good gluten strength in this dough. So I'm going to get this out on the countertop, give it a minute or two's kneading, and then we'll continue the process of building strength using stretch and folds. Now it's important, whatever you do at this time, don't add any more flour. This is a carefully thought out recipe with exact quantities and you want it to stay that way. So this will feel a bit sticky, but don't worry about it, it is going to come together. So you see a couple of slap and folds like that already starts to change the texture of the dough. It's much less sticky, so let's knead. So we're going to push this away from us. Pull it back, turn it, and repeat. So I'm about 30 seconds in, I'm going to knead this for 2 minutes total. So I'm just working through the kneading to get to the point where I can feel no lumps of flour left in the dough. You'll probably read a lot that you have to knead your dough until you pass the window pane test. Now I'm here to tell that yes, in some types of bread making that's really important, but it's not with pizza dough. We just need to make the dough strong, and we're going to do that through stretch and folds. So I'm happy now that this dough is completely free of lumps, so I'm going to start the process of building strength through stretch and folds. There's a few ways to do that, but I prefer this method. It's nice and simple and allows you to be quite hands-on with the dough. So we're just going to use our fingers on the bench to pull back and pick up the dough. We're going to pick it up, that gives us our stretch, and then we're going to fold it over. And we'll repeat that process. And you can see that after 5 or 6 sets of stretch and folds, this dough is completely transformed. There's no stickiness anymore, and we're starting to get some surface tension in the dough ball, which is what we're looking for. We're going to put this away for another rest and come back in another 20 minutes. So that's our first set of stretch and folds, and we're going to do that again after another 20 minutes and another 20 minutes after that, taking us to the end of the first hour of the bulk proof. 20 minutes up, time for our second set of stretch and folds. Just releasing the dough ball from the bottom of the bowl. Pull it out, and look how that's changing already. You can see the dough is much more extensible, it's getting some good strength already. And again, that dough is just getting better and better each time we touch it. It's back in our bowl, that's away for another 20 minutes, and we'll come back and do our final set of stretch and folds. So another 20 minutes has passed, and we're going to do our third and final set of stretch and folds before we tuck this away to finish its bulk proof. And just look again at the extensibility we're building. Just look at the change in the dough through the process of stretch and folds. We've got good tension, it's not sticky, this is beautiful pizza dough. So this is going away now to finish its bulk proof. We had a 20-minute rest and 2 sets of 20 minutes between the stretch and folds, so we've bulk proofed for an hour so far. I like to have my pizza dough balled up for as long as possible, so I'm going to take the bulk proof to 2 hours and then have it balled up for 6. You'll often see in bread and pizza dough recipes about allowing the dough to double in size. But with pizza dough, that's not necessary for our bulk proof. The more important thing is that we have plenty of time balled up, which is going to allow the dough balls to prove, relax, and be ready to stretch. I'll see you in another hour. So that's another hour passed, and that's 2 hours total bulk proving time. I'm going to get this dough balled up, but I'm not going to show you how to do that in this video, so I'll link my other video showing how to ball up pizza dough. A nice clean bowl is a sign of a good strong dough. So we've got 1.5 kilos of dough. We're going to weigh our dough balls out to 250 grams, there and thereabouts, and get them balled up. So there we go, we've got 6 beautifully formed dough balls going away for another 6 hours of proving. The temperature in the room has crept up to nearly 26 degrees C, so that is a change to what I inputted to PizzApp. This is another one of the reasons to use less yeast in your dough. With my 0.75 grams of instant yeast, I'm going to have a bigger window of usability, whereas if I'd used a whole sachet of instant yeast, those dough balls would probably overproof by the time I was going to use them. Now I gave you a sneak peek of how these dough balls bake up at the start of the video, but if you stick around, I'm going to show you some more. See you soon. So here we are, and I'm going to make a couple of pizzas to show you just how good 8-hour dough can be. It's actually 9 hours later, so this dough is an hour overproofed. And I did that on purpose to show you the benefits of using such a small amount of yeast. It's that larger window of usability. Let's get going. So as you can see, it's beautifully extensible, really easy to stretch. And we're in. Oven's running at 450 degrees C with a stone temperature of 420, so it's absolutely perfect. So there you have it, that's the first of our same day pizzas. So let's look at this dough. Feels beautifully light, really good bake all round, good oven spring. It's a nice pizza. There we go, our second same day margarita. It's just absolutely gorgeous. So there we go guys, we've got a couple of beautiful margaritas that stretched really easily. The dough's light and airy, but it was strong and it's got good structure, which is everything we're looking for in a pizza dough. The purpose of this video is not to say that you shouldn't be making longer proved doughs, it's just to show that if you're in a fix or if you're learning, you can make great dough the same day. Thank you so much for watching, please like and subscribe and I'll see you soon.